So we're streaming, everybody, just know. Okay, I will call to order the Southbury Board of Selectmen regular meeting, January 23rd of 2020, to order at 7 p.m. If we could have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll go on to public comments, limiting the public comments to 3 minutes. If anybody would like to make a public comment. Any public comment? Yes, sir.
Good evening. How do I adjust this just like this?
Just pull it up.
Just like that.
All right, I'm a little taller than average. As a courtesy to the clerk, I will give you a copy of what I'm reading, and I request that this be put in the minutes. Thank you. I want to applaud the Board of Selectmen for voting against Michelle Zommer's nomination last week, or 2 weeks ago. For those who do not know, she runs a Facebook page called the Southbury Buzz. It's an embarrassment to the town. She actively censors Trump supporters and Republicans, if she even allows them in the group. I urge the Board of Selectmen to continue to refuse nominations from the Democrat Town Committee. Under our charter's minority representation rules, one party may not control all the seats on a board or commission. The minority representation seats do not have to go to Democrats, especially ones endorsed by the Democrat Town Committee. They can go to unaffiliated voters. Given the behavior of many, if not most, of the DTC members, you should not rubber stamp their nominations. The DTC is filled with people who make their Democrat Party look bad. I will be talking about this more in future comments. I moved here in May and wanted to do like any good citizen would do and get involved. I was outraged at the baseless anti-Semitic accusations placed on Mr. Manville. I decided to defend him on Facebook, and then came the outrageous personal attacks. There is a small and loud group in this town that does not behave in a civilized manner. It is time the majority of the town publicly tells these people, clean up your act or you will not be welcome here. One of the worst comments was made by a local resident, Melina Andrews, on Facebook, and I'm quoting it exactly. This crazy POS pulled into our driveways, and of one other person we know of after we blocked him, then made creepy ass threats at a town meeting, leaving us wondering whether he planned to take a dump on the Southbury Green during rush hour or carry out a mass shooting. None of these accusations are true. The false claim of threatening was in response to my comments at the September 5, 2019 Board of Selectmen meeting. Residents can read what I actually said in the minutes or watch it on video. But that does not stop people like this. We have devolved to the point where it is acceptable to make up statements about people. It is never acceptable. This is one of many examples of abhorrent behavior from certain Southbury residents. I will be going public with more examples. I have learned that this behavior has gone on in Southbury for years. It is done primarily by a segment of the local Democrats. I urge the remaining Democrats to denounce their own party members' behavior and ask those people on the Democrat Town Committee to clean up their act or leave their positions in the party.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? Okay. You can pull it down, Barbara.
Okay, yes, I'm not as tall. Okay, Barbara Wheeler, Heritage Village. I am a DTC member. I don't make nasty comments about anybody, and I hope this Board of Selectmen will try to calm this problem down, because I haven't heard. I guess, and I do Facebook, but I don't pay attention to the people who are really nasty.
Thank you.
Good evening, Ron Pugliese, Democratic Town Chairman here in Southbury, Heritage Road. So what I'd like to discuss a little bit is not only the personality of the woman that was not appointed to the Planning Commission as a alternate. I'd like to talk more about the procedure. And it's my understanding, and I would love to be corrected if I'm wrong, is that it's always been the situation that if a Republican office or a Republican vacancy is, the Republican Town Committee would make a recommendation, and as long as the person's qualified, the Board of Selectmen would accept it. Same goes with the Democrat. If there's a Democratic vacancy, the Democrats would provide a name, and I would tell you that the Democratic Town Committee would only put qualified people in that position. As we know, 2 weeks ago, it did not happen, and I find that it is somewhat not fair. And I had a very good conversation with the first selectman. He said he would think about it. My understanding, it is not on the agenda for this evening. So my feeling is very strong on this. That, again, if anybody could correct me that this has never happened before, I would love to hear it, but I'm not aware of it. What I would like to have is a little civility between the parties. I mean, we had a very contentious election season, and I don't recall either the Republican candidate or the Democratic candidate calling names or saying anything nasty about the other candidate. The election was held. A group of us, led by me, came over to the Republican headquarters to shake his hand. He deserved it. He won the election. That's the way it goes. That's democracy. So I find it almost difficult for me to understand why, if you did not like that particular candidate, based on civility, it would have been a telephone call to the town chairman and explain what the reason was. So that's what I'm asking. I'm asking for civility, I'm asking for cooperation, and I'm asking for people on this board to act the way that I believe has always been the case. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ron. Thank you. Any other public comment?
Sharon Scarlett, 932A, Heritage Village. As a resident of the town, I wish that we would move forward and get to the business of the matter here. I'm tired of seeing the news, of all this negativity. Let's just get to the business of taking care of what we need to take care of for our village and for our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I'm Rich Boritz. I live in Heritage Village.
Hi, Rich.
How you doing? I want to point out something that I find very confusing and a little disconcerting about the future of this Board of Selectmen. And I'm not speaking as a candidate, and I'm not speaking as a past candidate. I'm speaking as somebody who's been looking at the issues involving, as Sharon has just said, the future, moving the town forward. And I was befuddled when I received an email that on the very top of it asked me to describe the dead zones that I get when I have my cell phone on in town. And it seems like that seems to be a priority of this board at this moment, to find out where we do and do not get cell phone reception. I looked at the strategic plan over the last 4 years, you know, the planning that went on, and there was absolutely no comments about cell phone reception. It seems to me that this is a diversion and an expenditure of valuable volunteer time and energy over something that needs to be item number 10 on the list. The strategic plan and you guys voted on 5. And I'm concerned that not one of those 5 was mentioned at the top of an email. And that doesn't bode well for, as other people are asking, move the town forward. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Seeing none. Move on to announcements and correspondence in your packet. Any questions?
I had a question about the AED
Yep,
email. Is this a new system?
no, we've been,
SAA has been monitoring these things
Yes.
for a while?
So we're
Okay.
heart
I just
healthy.
wasn't aware of that.
yeah. Make sure, I think we have one right there. We have one in the senior center, but they do throughout the town where they are.
Is this like a volunteer effort on their part, or is there some official?
No, they're just making a heart-safe community. Yeah, I think there's even some signs around town on that.
Okay.
So they're in the different buildings. All right, you have your reports. I'll move on to the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve it as listed.
Seconded. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It carries. Minutes of January 9th, 2020.
Motion to approve?
Can I have a second? Who seconded? Sure. Mike? Who wants to take the second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Fight over it.
Any discussion on the minutes?
I have one correction on the motion to add the Strategic Plan Commission to the agenda. It should read that the vote was 3 in favor and 3 against.
Okay. We can reflect that. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It carries. Unfinished business, Strategic Plan Commission. We have some people who have applied, expressed interest, and what I would like to do is give these resumes to a group for recommendation. I would look George Bertram as liaison to strategic plan. Justin Betty, if you could. And myself, and we'll look at the resumes. I'll get them to you and then come up with a recommendation on that group for the strategic plan, if that's okay.
How many resumes do you have?
I think in this here, I'd have to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Holy smokes.
Great. Wow. How many? There's only one opening on the?
One for
Yeah, alternate. Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a group there, it's a good group, and some pretty good resumes, and I'll get that. I don't know if, I don't know, we'll either scan them in and send them to you, or we can just print them out. I mean, you guys are close enough. Okay. First Selectmen's report. I've been meeting, I have met with the superintendent on the recent vandalism at the school, and I've been assured that appropriate actions are being taken through the school and law enforcement, and other than that, right now, we're not going to talk. My hope, I want to say, my hope is that by continuing to have global citizenship meetings and community conversations, both in our school and with our citizens. I'm hoping we can foster, frankly, a better understanding of not only our differences, but the commonalities between all of us that exist, and we'll keep working with the region on that moving forward. There's been budget reviews. We're still working on that. And also both the planning administrator has been posted and land use, and the resumes are coming in, and then we'll get that together to look at those. So I'm pretty encouraged with that. Selectmen reports. George?
Nothing on road study. IT committee has canceled the last couple of meetings. There's one coming up next month. Police radio upgrade. The issue has been whether the fire department can use the state police trunk. I don't think it's been resolved, but maybe Jeff, you have an update on that, but I don't think they've figured that out yet.
No, they haven't.
So there's nothing new to report. The Cellular Mobile Coverage Task Force, so far we've gotten about 140 responses from people. We've had a lot of thank you notes from people that were looking into it. I think it's, for some folks, it becomes a safety issue if they can't use their phones, and, you know, it becomes a question of if they need to make an emergency call, how are they gonna do it? Some folks have expressed concern that they want to get rid of their landlines because they're paying for them every month and they don't really need them, but they can't quite rely on their cell phones, so they keep paying for the landline. So I think it's a bigger issue than some might think. We've had a couple of meetings, and we're going to do our first survey of the town using some technology equipment Saturday, pending the weather. I don't think the weather's going to be too bad, so we'll be out there taking some readings, maybe visiting a few of the places that are complaining about their issues. SPC, we've had a number of meetings on that. I've also been involved with what we're going to talk about in executive session, so I've been pretty busy the last week or so.
Selectman Betty?
Economic Development met last week. Meetings are quite a bit more informative now that Kevin is with us, to be honest. And he's working on a number of good things. He's recently put a draft out for his 2020 vision for economic growth. 6 bullet points of things that he's going to be working on. He has met with a lot of different people in town, current businesses, you know, a lot of different players, if you will, that are part of our local economy. So he's really hit the ground running.
He has.
And just had a meeting with potential business that is looking to expand in town as well. So we'll see how that goes. Senior Commission met last week as well. Had a very successful holiday season. They delivered over 123 Christmas gift bags to individuals in need, with a lot of help from various businesses in town donating, you know, items, services, etc. There is a new transportation coordinator in place, which has been a very good thing. That person has been ramping up quickly and apparently is doing well. During public comments, there's a couple people that were mentioning that they would like to see the senior center be able to utilize the room in between the senior center and Parks and Rec more frequently. Apparently that doesn't happen anymore. Hopefully the window got fixed. But that was for the senior commission, and IPOC does not have their first meeting of the year until February. That's it.
So what were they thinking at that rowdy caucus you were having?
He just couldn't see.
Okay. Jason?
I did not have any meetings since our last meeting.
Okay. Emily?
Library hasn't met since, or we'll meet again in February. EMS committee had their first meeting tonight. Very excited about that. They'll be having decided on their officers that were elected. They'll be having future meetings the fourth Thursday of every month at 7 o'clock. And they're currently have the current EMS plan out with Fitch and Associates. Once they're done reviewing it, the current EMS committee will come in and review that as well. So a lot of good forward progress, and excited for our first full meeting later in February.
Mike?
Parks and Rec Commission is meeting actually right now. Michael Ganem, director, asked me, and I don't know if he ended up getting to put it into the announcements. But
Yes.
there is, yes. So, here, I'll read it. So there's a new initiative that Parks and Rec and Region 15 together are leading, and it is a community chorus. Vocalists are wanted, pianists and other musicians are wanted. It's a free program, as they say here, from ages 12 to 112. I'm sure they take younger and older. But rehearsals are going to be Tuesdays, beginning February 4th from 6:30 to 8 in the Parks and Rec building. There's information on Southbury Town website, and there's a place to register online through the Parks and Rec section of the website. So I encourage everybody to take a look, and at our next meeting, I'll give an update on the...
Are you encouraging me to come sing?
I might be. We've performed together before once. So I do encourage those to sign up for that, and at our next meeting, I'll give an update, and I've actually asked if they can try to avoid these kinds of conflicts so I can be able to be a better liaison, so they're not on top of our meetings, and they're going to look at that. Planning met, well, we were in our joint audit meeting yesterday. I understand it was quite a long meeting with the discussion around the fuel tanks taking up the majority of that meeting. I do believe some action was taken that will be coming before us at some point. I'm not sure, but we'll have more on that, I'm sure, as a board for discussion. I did not get to attend the meeting on the 13th, the first meeting of the new year of Region 15. The next one's on the 27th. But Jeff, I do want to, for those who aren't aware, unless you have a student in Region 15, the email that Jeff referred to, you didn't receive, because it only went out to the Region 15 community. So I just want to quickly read it directly. And this was an email sent to all parents within Region 15 from Joshua Smith, the superintendent of Region 15 Public Schools. It was sent on Friday, this past Friday. That the subject was active vandalism. It said, "Good evening. This week we had a small group of students vandalize a bathroom with demeaning language and symbols of prejudice. In a district and community that has worked so hard over the past 2 years to improve our cultural awareness, celebrate differences, and foster respect for one another's perspectives, the actions of these students is both disappointing and uncharacteristic of our students. Pomperac High School and the greater Region 15 community is a place where students and staff of all backgrounds are welcome. While the district will take appropriate actions to hold these students accountable, this isolated incident does not reflect the views of the high school or the Region 15 community. I would like to applaud the high school, the staff, and administration for their response to this unfortunate situation and the collective work of our students and educators to promote a school environment where acts like this are not tolerated. The hope that our community is one where incidents like this do not happen is one in which we all share. It's up to each of us to speak up against bias and ensure that all members of the Region 15 community are welcome." Joshua Smith, Superintendent, Region 15 Public Schools. I spoke to Mr. Smith earlier today to let him know that on behalf, certainly myself, as a selectman, that I would speak with the rest of the board tonight, offering any support that we can give to the region and as liaison to the Region 15 board. I also have been emailing with Marion Manzo, who's the new chair of the Board of Education, about figuring out a way we can help. Region 15 can't live in a vacuum. Those kids go home, and they're in our community. So this is not a Region 15 community problem. This is a crisis in our community that we need to address directly and head on, and we need to be unafraid to shine a light on it and to talk about it, as uncomfortable as it may make us feel. As Joshua told me today, the hate and bigotry that this vandalism portrayed wasn't just to one group, it was to many. And I'm appreciative of the school resource officer from PD who's involved in it, and they're minors, so there's going to be some privacy issues there. I have every confidence that Mr. Smith and the administration, Dr. Jones at the high school, and the rest of the administration are taking this very seriously. They've made tremendous efforts since they took over about 2 years ago to try to improve the school culture. But they need our help, and it's not enough for us. Jeff and I have both shown up at some of the events that they've done with SMART and with the ADL. We talked last year about doing stuff here. I think we need to ramp up those efforts. We need to do something. You know, and I don't use the word crisis lightly. And it's not the first time I've talked about this. You know, my daughter, my son, before he graduated, were victims of anti-Semitism at the high school. And this is an ongoing issue that's not just the problem of Region 15. It's the problem of Southbury, it's the problem of Middlebury, and together with Middlebury's Board of Selectmen, we should get together and figure out a way we address it and support the schools. So I plan to continue bringing this up at one of our next meetings and try to work with the Board of Education, certainly, to figure out a path forward that could prevent it. But every time it happens, we're going to talk about it because we have to. That's it.
Okay. Any other business? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to move into executive session.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss the potential purchase of real estate by the town.
I'll second.
As publicity regarding such purchase would adversely impact the price, and to invite in John Michaels, Dan Colton, Cindy Harrison, Jeff Tinley.
John Michaels, Dan Colton, Cindy Harrison, Jeff Tinley, and the board.
I'll second.
You'll second that? And right on time. Any discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries. Move into executive session.